Tonight on the South Today, it's an historic day for the country, Gore electing New Zealand's youngest ever mayor. The Invercargill Mall is celebrating 3 months of opening its doors, with expansions planned in time for Christmas. And Dunedin pedestrians are treated today as some of the nation's best classical musicians hold a pop-up concert. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Hannah Wilkins. In breaking news, a 23-year-old has become New Zealand's youngest ever mayor following a tight race. Ben Bell is officially Gore's new mayor after the special votes were counted this afternoon. Bell knocks out 70-year-old Tracy Hicks, who has held the position for 19 years. And while there's a large gap between their ages, there was only a handful of votes which separated them, Bell winning by 8 votes. Earlier in the week, Bell said Gore residents are divided between keeping the status quo and wanting change. The Invercargill Central Mall development is celebrating its first 3 months of successful trading. The retail footprint is now set to expand, with the next stage of shops opening to entice shoppers just in time for Christmas.
From a pile of rubble to a bustling retail mall, the centrepiece of Invercargill's CBD redevelopment has exceeded expectations, welcoming 170,000 shoppers through the door in just 3 months. The shopping centre's manager says the new development is fitting comfortably into Invercargill's retail landscape.
You know, Invercargill is definitely growing and this is a really big part of it, but people feel really connected to it because we're all from Southland and it's here for us.
Opening stores while construction is still underway has its complications, but Mooney says it's been a success, with some shops struggling to keep up with demand. The complicated multi-stage development is now set to expand again, with new shops and food stores set to open in November.
And within that we'll have places like Hallenstein's and Levisa and Max and Barker's, Starbucks, a number of little food retailers as well.
The final stage of the development is on track to open in February 2023. In Invercargill, the South Today.
A woman has appeared in the Dunedin District Court this afternoon after a crash outside the Dunedin railway station left a motorcyclist seriously injured late last night. The 24-year-old driver has been charged with driving while disqualified. Police say she was speeding down Stewart Street and turned the wrong way onto the Castle Street one-way, striking a stationary motorcyclist. A police spokeswoman says the man was seriously injured but is in a stable condition. The woman has been remanded into custody and has not entered any pleas and will return to court later this month. Some lucky Dunedin pedestrians were treated to a surprise concert today from some of the nation's best classical musicians.
4 members of the New Zealand Symphony Orchestra striking a chord with delighted onlookers in the Octagon. Those with a keen ear were impressed by the unexpected show, eager to meet the performers. The performance in the Octagon, just one of several appearances raising awareness for the NZSO acts during the Dunedin Art Festival.
And we're playing little concerts, pop-up concerts all around the city, so trying to meet members of the community, create some buzz for our upcoming shows, and also just be a part of the Dunedin Arts Festival. We're so delighted to be here and it's been so much fun all day.
The musicians heading off to their next pop-up concert, with the orchestra appearing in ticketed events throughout the festival. In Dunedin, the South Today.
2 Dunedin police officers received Bravery Awards last night for their role in stopping the Countdown stabbing spree last year. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern awarded Constable Sophie Allison and Detective Constable Jeremy Toshi for their heroic efforts. Both officers were off duty when the stabbing attack happened on May 10th, but they didn't hesitate to intervene. Both officers say they feel honoured by the award, as well as praising supermarket staff and shoppers' bravery to stop the assault. The attacker was jailed in May this year for 13 years after pleading guilty to 4 charges of attempted murder. An historic Brighton attraction is getting a revamp after new owners purchased the site. 2 brothers have banded together to buy the local boat shed with hopes of fixing it up and having the public paddling down the creek once again.
Life is but a dream, as one of the new owners of Brighton's boat shed rows gently down the Otokia Creek. Locals Jeff and Philip Wilson have bought the historic attraction with the help of their neighbours. The boat shed has been around since the 1800s and has been out of action a long time.
It's such an iconic piece of Brighton, and we just really love to see it up and running again.
Around a dozen people are involved in this venture, with the decision to buy the boat shed made over friendly neighbourhood beers. Philip is a qualified boat builder and is eager to repair the boats. He's also looking forward to the public being back on the creek.
Yeah, everyone I've talked to has been real supportive, real keen to see it open. It's just quite an iconic building itself, and just good to tidy it up and get it up and running.
The pair plan to sell a range of clothing alongside selling and loaning surfboards. Wilson says he hopes to have it all up and running again in time for summer. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Whaiakane, still to come on the South Today. Construction of Christchurch's new $16.5 million indoor netball centre moves up a gear, and a Dunedin Law Firm continues its tradition of remembering Otago lives lost at war.
Every day the team at Gillian supports grieving families at their time of need, from answering your questions to organising a farewell that reflects the wishes of your loved one. We can help. Call Gillian's today.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Stock liquidation on now. My mate John's massively overstocked and urgently needs to clear furniture and beds now. 5,000 items at half price.
And my mate John.
Tēnā koe, welcome back. Construction of Christchurch's new $16.5 million indoor netball facility is ramping up. The 13,000 square metre Christchurch Netball Centre is looking to support the sport for the city's future.
A 10-year project to ensure the future of netball in Canterbury is finally underway. ECAN and building consent has just been received for a new $16.5 million netball centre at Hillmorton's Ngā Pūnawai Sports Hub. Local residents were updated recently about additional parking and transport improvements to the area. The 10-court indoor facility will feature sprung wooden flooring, a mezzanine floor, offices and a cafe.
We believe that the quality of sport we're going to see, and netball in particular, is going to be far higher indoors.
An anonymous benefactor paying the majority of the project's cost. donating $11 million after the earthquakes to benefit women's sport. The multi-use facility will be fully owned by the Christchurch Netball Centre, but Harlow says they'll maximise the space for other sports as well.
Still trying to understand exactly what the governance is going to look like for the centre, with netball being the anchor tenant, but then we're looking at seeing who else we can bring on board.
The Christchurch Netball Centre plans to leave Hagley Park once the centre is built, ending 100 years of netball's association with the park. The Netball Centre will take around 12 months to build and is set to be completed by September next year. In Christchurch, the South Today.
At 5:30 a.m. on October 12, 1917, 36 Otago soldiers bore the brunt of the conflict at Pattendale. Only 6 men survived and were led back to Allied lines by young Dunedin law clerk Peter Anderson, who later founded the Anderson Lloyd Lawyers. The law firm continued its tradition yesterday of remembering the lives lost at Pattendale. Firm partner Fraser Barton lay a bouquet of 30 red roses at Dunedin's railway station in memory of those soldiers.
These events shouldn't be repeated, but in any event, some of this is happening again in the Ukraine. But it's an important event in the culture and heritage of our firm, and indeed our city and our province and the country as well. So it's important to remember these things.
Barton urging attendees to pause and think of the more than 840 New Zealand soldiers who lost their lives on the country's blackest day. The Schick 3x3 Cup began at ILT Stadium Southland this morning as 32 teams from around New Zealand battle it out.
3x3 is a shortened version of basketball, where 2 teams of 3 players race to see who can reach 21 points on a half court. Southern basketball fans are in for a treat as 120 top basketball players converge on Invercargill for the national champs. ILT Stadium Southland's events manager says they're glad to be finally hosting the tournament, as COVID-19 meant the competition has been a long time coming.
So we're excited to finally have the Schick 3x3 Cup. We had 2 postponements and then a cancellation last year, so we're really excited to have the new and improved Schick 3x3 with both male and female teams. We have an extra 8 teams this year.
The tournament began today and concludes on Saturday. In Invercargill, the South Today.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. Gore is welcoming in its newest mayor, 23-year-old Ben Bell, who became the youngest in New Zealand's history. Invercargill's Central Mall is set to expand in November, with new shops and food stores preparing to open. And 4 members of the New Zealand Symphony Orchestra treated pedestrians to pop-up shows across central Dunedin. And now a look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. And we welcome the Deputy Editor, Craig Page. Kia ora, Craig, lovely to see you back here again.
Thank you, lovely to be here.
What can we expect in your paper tomorrow?
Yeah, it's all been happening down south late today. Of course, you mentioned about the new mayor for Gore, 23-year-old Ben Bell, but slightly further south as well, Gary Tong, the sitting mayor down there, has also been ousted today by Lumsden businessman Rob Scott. So
right.
Plenty of changes down there, that's for sure. We're going to talk to both the new mayors and have a bit of a rundown of tomorrow's paper.
Look forward to that. Nice.
I can just remember being 23, but I don't think wanting to be a mayor was one of my targets on those days. We've also got the Arts Festival continuing as well. We've got a half a page of coverage on that. Lots happening around the city there. On our gardening pages as well, we've got a bevy of gardening books that we're reviewing. It's that time of the year to get out and pull a few weeds and get some tomato plants in. So plenty of reading in that. And of course the sports lift out in tomorrow's paper as well. Domestic cricket season's almost upon us. First day of competition starts on Tuesday of next week, so cricket writer Adrian Cicconi's got his crystal ball out and trying to tell us how the Otago Sparks might do this year. Some good news for them, and that South African cricketer Dean Foxcroft has finally managed to make it back to the country, so he's going to be a star for it this year, I'm sure.
Fantastic. Gosh, the sun at summer's almost here.
Oh yeah, it'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Thanks, Craig.
Thank you.
And time now for a look at the weather.
The South Today weather, proudly brought to you by MoleMap, the skin cancer detection specialists.
Looking at the situation, northeasterly airflow remains for a few days with fresh breezes and low cloud on the Otago coast, but warmer temperatures and more sunshine everywhere else. Heading to the top of the South Island, cloudy with easterlies up in Nelson tomorrow and a high of 15, 16 in Greymouth with northeast winds, and Christchurch can expect a cloudy day with light winds up to 13. Travelling to South Canterbury and North Otago now, cloudy with norwesterlies through here tomorrow. Ashburton and Timaru head for 13, with Uamaru only one behind on 12 degrees. Westwards now to the Central Lakes, and fine with very light winds again through here tomorrow. Very warm with 17 degrees for Wanaka and Queenstown and 16 down in Alexandra. Heading further south now, well, fine with light winds and 16 degrees tomorrow in Balclutha, 15 over in Gore, and the Catlins can expect a high of 13 degrees. Now down through the deep south. Well, becoming fine tonight in Invercargill, dropping to 3 degrees. Then mostly fine and sunny for the next 2 days, taking you to the weekend with northerlies and mild temperatures, highs of 15 or 16 degrees. And lastly, heading to Dunedin. Cloudy tonight with southerlies and a low of 8 degrees. Tomorrow's looking overcast with northwest winds and a high of 12. And Saturday, it's looking sunny but cool, up to 12 again as the top temperature. And that's the news this Thursday. For the latest news and videos from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz. And you can follow Channel 39 on YouTube to catch our news bulletins on demand. We'll see you again tomorrow. Ka kite ya popo.
Public interest journalism funded through New Zealand On Air.